there are many a times where I feel like I'm not cut out for agency life because it gets really tough. It's always a fun experience once you get to the end of it, like, and you walk out with more knowledge. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Marketing Blender Show. I'm Samaria Boyd, and I'm here with...
My name is Ramsey Sanchez.
And today we are here to talk to you guys a little bit about our career path and how we went from a non-agency setting into an agency setting. So I guess the first question is really like, where were you at before you got to the agency life?
Yeah, I'll start first then. So the first job I had out of college was actually at an amusement park. So the name was Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. I was trying to find something out of college, and I had a few things lined up, but obviously it just took me a few months to find what it was. And then it took another 3 months to go through that process of hiring, like getting hired onto my first real marketing job as a marketing coordinator at Dale Carnegie Training in San Antonio. So that's where it all began for me, and I knew early on that wherever I started, I wanted to try to stay as long as possible. And I had other things going on in my personal life, really good things. And when it was time to move on, I did. But I think I stayed at that job for about 4 years. And that's where I learned everything, as I usually say, under the sun of marketing. I started with email. I started in social media. They wanted to do a lot of video. I had a passion for video. That was just a little bit of my journey out of college when I first started.
Yeah, mine was a little rocky. I don't know. Being a young marketer and honestly just a young person in media, I was really trying to go everywhere. I did a lot of freelancing, and then I moved into radio, and then I moved back into freelancing, and then I finally found it's technically a freelance gig, but it was Dr. Issy's writing and marketing, where I really kind of got the ability to, I guess, get a little bit more serious about social, because I realized that that's really where I wanted to be, just crafting messages and having fun and talking to people without it being me. So kind of being behind the scenes, but also at the forefront. And then I did a lot of freelancing for churches and things like that. I think I will say, I think sometimes it is easy to say that I miss the freelancing, the only having one client, the focusing on one area. But I don't know. It's just kind of fun just to kind of be everywhere and learn a lot and have a lot of different clients, interact with a lot of different personalities. So
Yeah, and I think I shared a similar experience where I was working with one company, finally, someone who hired me on, and I said, okay, I'm going all in. I'm going to learn as much as possible. It was actually pretty nice to be directly just under one CEO, essentially, the owner of that franchise, and just be able to talk with them, do everything I can to make it happen for them. And you brought up a really good point. In that first job, I learned about email, social. I learned about paid ads at that time, and that's where I also started to find out that I had a really interesting. I don't know. I was drawn to it, like with paid ads, digital analytics tracking, and I started to kind of go away from the creative side, I would say, like getting into video and cutting video up and stuff. And that's where it led me to my next job before agency life, where I worked at a financing company. It was for commercial trucks, and they had a influx of leads that were just always coming through, and they needed more, and they needed a better process, and they also needed someone to manage their Google ads and their website. And so I was still having to wear many hats. Mm-hmm. Once we really honed in on the strategies and funnels and all those systems that I had to learn, it was a great experience. I think at some point I was thinking, okay, this day is getting a lot slower, and I feel like I want to be doing more. And I have all these skills that I think I could apply more and more often. And I had heard about agency life, and I actually had buddies that, who asked me, and, what should I do with Google and things, and they all went to join an agency. I had a cousin who joined an agency, and I was thinking, okay, maybe now that I'm sort of honing in on the skills that I like, I can go to an agency and say, this is what I want to be doing, or really find the job that was open for for the thing I wanted to be doing.
That's a really good point. Like the wearing multiple hats when you are kind of like working under one company versus an agency. I mean, you still wear like here. I mean, we all kind of do a lot of different things, but I think when you're not at an agency and it's almost like you kind of just get the assignments that other people are like, okay, I can't do this, so go do it when you're by yourself in a way. I shouldn't say by yourself, but like when you're only working for one company, like everybody is kind of like pulling from everyone. And it's like one team.
It's usually a small marketing department.
Yeah. And there's not like other resources, I guess, all the time. And once you get to an agency, like even the one that I worked at for a couple months before the pandemic hit and we all got laid off, like there was a larger department that we could rely on, right? That we could talk to. And I guess here at Blender, we're a pretty small agency, but like we're pretty mighty. We have a lot of different team members that know a lot about the things that we do. Because I know like as far as social media goes, we have 3 team members that help me out every once in a while. And then, I mean, I shouldn't say every once in a while, a lot. But it was a bit different like when you're kind of by yourself at a singular company, or if you're like one team at a specific company. Everyone kind of has to do the things.
Yeah, you're like the tech department, you're the IT, you're the social media department. Like, I remember the first company, they never really had marketing. I remember the owner saying, I don't really need marketing. I built this thing up with sales, but I'm starting to believe it a little bit more. And the corporate has been talking about marketing and video. We should be doing this, and that's why you're here. And it was just me for a long time, and so I'm having to talk with all these really seasoned sales professionals and telling them exactly what they need to be doing, because that's what they're expecting from a marketing department. And that's where I kind of learned about the distinction between marketing department, sales department, and stuff like that. And going into a bigger company that had a more established marketing director, which I needed. I was like, I need somebody above me to kind of give me more guidance in this area, and especially in the area that I want to learn. And I was fortunate enough to have somebody who actually took Google Ads courses and other marketing things, and had a creative agency before he became a director. And it was really cool. And then we also had a graphics designer, and we had a video person, and we had some other content things. It wasn't a big team, but we tried to do our best and make that happen. And I think at that point, that's where I realized, I want more of that. Like, I want to join an agency that has that already established, and and someone who can handle just social media, and someone who can handle just the graphic side, and we will still help each other. So I definitely agree with that a lot. There's something about that part of agency life, even though it can be really busy, but it's really rewarding when you are able to create that system for agency. So,
and I think too, like especially like here at the Marketing Blender, like the larger network of marketing professionals that we do have, because we are kind of, I don't want to say like large, but like we have a lot of CMOs, right? So a lot of them are seasoned, a lot of them have done a lot of different types of campaigns, they worked in different spaces, kind of similar to us. Like they may have come from working from a sole company to moving back into an agency, or they could have been doing their own thing. The best part about working at an agency is just the network that you get. And the ability to like kind of lean on people. Because I know when I was doing stuff like, and it was kind of just me, it was really annoying because there were some times when I had questions and the owner of the company that I was working for, they didn't know the answer. They were relying on me to figure it out. And I was like, that's cool, but like also remember, like this is not something that I do. Like I kind of learned, this was my first like stint with paid ads. And it was kind of interesting because there are certain things you can't talk about on Facebook, and I had to learn all the rules and stuff like that. So getting that experience, I mean, it was good, don't get me wrong. Like obviously, like yes, I want to learn, but like it was also like there was no one there that actually knew. So I'm starting from the ground up, basically taking all these courses and things like that, and really getting into the nitty gritty. Whereas like if I was here and I needed to do that, well, I have you and Hudson, right, that I can ask, or even other CMOs that have done the paid ad side, I can ask them. So
yeah, you bring up a great point about the fractional CMOs. Most agencies have a project manager structure to them, where someone is is always operating with the client, and then it goes into creative team and execution, and the project manager reports the results. And I think we have that, but with the fractional CMO, there's way more strategy behind it, and they get into financials and road mapping and things. And I mean, that would be an interesting question of, how has a fractional CMO, especially at, our agency, have really up-leveled our game, like in the direction that we want to go for our careers. And so, I can start with, I have now, like you said, been able to talk with so many different CMOs with experience. Some of them don't have a lot of paid ad experience because they also went to a third-party agency when they were in their career. And then there are others who actually have a lot of experience and they get really hands-on. So there's all types of marketers I started to kind of discover when working at an agency. And again, that is the experience that I would have not gained if I just worked at a singular marketing department, and been able to go back and forth and collaborate. I mean, just right before we started this conversation today, we're probably talking with CMOs about next steps for
Yeah.
for our job. So
The big word is just collaboration. Like when you're at an agency, it's so much easier to pick people's brains and really find those people that, because like even if they're not on the client, like a lot of the times like the CMOs will have ideas that they can just kind of like, you give them the situation and they'll tell you, whereas like if I was by myself kind of as just the sole social media manager at another place, like or I shouldn't say at another place, but like just at one singular company with a smaller marketing team, I feel like not that collaboration is impossible, because it's obviously possible, but like just the kind of like wealth of knowledge that's there, it's just not the same, because like again, kind of like we said, like these people have experience in a lot of different areas, they have specialties, they have seen things in their careers that like sometimes obviously as a young marketer, like I haven't seen, so like there are things that I may want to do that they're like, that's not gonna work because I've seen it, or or like you said, like they don't have any idea about social, so then I'm kind of getting to teach, which is a lot of fun. But yeah,
I know, like for example, one fractional CMO would say, back in his advertising days with radio or television, there were certain segments and times and spots and days that you can like run ads, and I thought, most of the time I run ads on a 24/7 window, but it would be interesting to try this based off of some of your strategies that you've talked about, right? Certain hours, looking at a client or a potential user of like social media or something might be on their devices, right? Like maybe we should try other strategies outside of that. And we've always known that we can do that. I've always known I can go into Google ads or paid ads and make those adjustments, but seeing it from a strategic standpoint and someone actually trying to create this roadmap for our clients, and then I'm able to then tell them this is possible, this is not possible, and we can do this right away, or this is going to take time, we need such and such in place. That has been probably one of the awesome benefits, right? Kind of going under collaboration of working at an agency. Do you have any examples of like something that a CMO that has told you, hey, we should try this, and it's something that has really helped with clients?
Yeah, I think back when I first started here, like they didn't really have, so Blender didn't really have anybody that was specifically for social. I think at the time, the person who was doing social was more sales. And so when I first got here, like it was pretty much hit the ground running, like, hey, we're going to plug you in and this is what we want you to do. And immediately, I can't remember which client it was, but I remember Daisy was like, hey, since you're here, and I just remember like thinking to myself, like, how am I going to market this product that like nobody's really, it doesn't seem like people are, shouldn't say interested in, but like I don't know how to market it to a business, another business, right? And so that was the learning curve for me, and the thing that I learned from the CMOs for sure is like how to market to another business, because everything that I was doing before was directly to consumers for the most part, and so I didn't really have a whole lot of experience in B2B. With that conversation that I had with Daisy, and it was almost like a personal webinar about business to business, and kind of like why certain things don't work or why certain things do work. Or we also talked a lot about, like, you know, the sales team members using LinkedIn for sales, things that I didn't know that people use LinkedIn for. It was a really good conversation to start off my career here at the Blender, the marketing Blender. I don't know why I keep calling it the Blender. The Blender, sorry.
The Blender.
I'm a person that likes to learn, and I'm a person that thinks that, like, I should know a little bit about everything. And so being able to kind of put my foot in different industries and things like that, and really learn about the ways in which different demographics, especially like the professional demographics, I guess, like how they operate and what their brains are thinking and what they would engage with versus what they wouldn't, to me has been the best part about working at Blender and just being at an agency. Collaboration is another one, but
You're bringing up some really great points about, you know, different industries. That was something that if I really needed to set my career in a new trajectory, you know, doing it with one company at a time is one way of doing it, right? You can go and join a company and be the sole marketer or be a sole component of that team. I've heard that you have to stay with that company 5-10 years and you kind of build your way up through the corporate ladder. And that has been interesting for me. It's not that it's off the table, but it was something that I was thinking about with agency life. Is I don't want to be just a number at an agency, a big agency, and just be running things based off impressions and clicks for $1 million a month agencies. I want to try to go serve smaller companies. And when I say smaller companies, it could be sub 1 million, it could be 5 to 10. You know, we work with all kinds of sizes here at the Blender, but we work with many different clients with different budgets, and they're all different, unique. And that has been one of the most rewarding part of it, is learning about their clients and the, you know, the demographics and the targeting and the way we create messaging for the products. I mean, anything from vending machines to SaaS to like QuickBook things, all the way down to like manufacturing has been one of the most interesting. Like you said, typically in an agency space, you're working with a lot of local companies or big brands, but these manufacturing brands that we've been working with, I don't know if I would have received this sort of experience from another agency, and let alone, I don't know if they're hiring. We know that they're hiring. We have clients that are building their marketing team because of them working with an agency first. They start to realize, oh, this is very important, and we know that we needed to go down this path. We just haven't figured out how to do it ourselves yet. Yeah. And being a part of that has been awesome as well. For, you know, working at an agency, I don't think I would have had this in another experience.
So we talked a lot about like our experiences at an agency, but when we think about how the marketing Blender is growing and we get new team members, what kind of people do you think should be working at agencies? I mean, it could be ours, it can be any other one, but what kind of people do you think thrive in the agency setting?
Yeah, that's a great question, because right now our team, we're full of awesome individuals, and we're all from different walks of life. And we just hired a new digital marketing specialist who's out of college, 2 marketing individuals, and they worked really hard through college and graduated and gained their experience that way. And you can tell on their resumes and their way they talk that they're built for work. They want to do more things, and they have a passion for it. And really, that's where we started when we were hiring them. And then I think about, I can only really talk about myself and how I will do my best when I work on the project to make sure I see it through, and I have no eyes on me. I still want to make sure I have integrity in working on those projects, and I'm doing the research outside of hours. And when I think about agency life, even this still happened when I worked at a company that wasn't an agency. I was still editing video outside of hours and going and doing social media posts and looking at calendars and learning about Google Ads, because you don't learn about that in college. I was always constantly learning, but when I got into the agency setting, it was a little bit more different. And I remember Daisy would say this, this is agency life now. And it's really still hard to articulate those in words, but I know that it takes an individual who can really set themselves up for success around their time, be able to manage their time really well, have just enough grit to be able to move client to client and be flexible, and also just have I want to say good memory, but just being able to really have a system in place of, okay, I've got to manage many different roles here, and I'm serving many different clients right now. And I think it's important that I do my best work, and then I'm always communicating with our internal team, with our fractional CMOs, and with our clients anytime something happens. And I've learned a lot from Dacia, on things like something practical, like telling the truth fast and often, just anything that arises and pops up. I think there's just many aspects of somebody who's in that type of role, who's looking to build and grow their career path at a really accelerated rate. I think someone who's looking to do that will benefit from an agency, especially like a fractional CMO agency, if you want to learn from those who are seasoned pros.
Yeah. I think I'm not cut out for agency life because it gets really tough, but I think like I have a lot of, and I'm not saying I'm prideful, but like I have a lot of pride in the stuff that I do. So like I try my best to like put my good foot forward and get things done. So the first thing that comes to mind when I think about it is really just being flexible and being able to understand, like, there are going to be times when you don't want to stay 30 minutes after work to finish a project, but you need to do it because it's for the client. Or like there are going to be times when a CMO calls you and says, hey, urgent, like we need to get this done, and you have to move stuff around. Organized is another one. I'm not necessarily the most organized person, but I do have a system that works for me. And I think that's another thing, because like once you lose it, everything gets lost. Like once you lose that bit of organization and like your time and things like that, stuff starts to get lost. So you have to be able to move things around in your brain, move things around on your schedule, physical, whatever you're tracking your stuff with, and keep up with that. And I think too, the last thing is like, you just have to be willing to learn. Like you have to be willing to step outside of your comfort zone and dive into something that you have no clue. You may not have any clue about what it is or what you're doing, but like you're willing to get in there and figure it out. There have been a lot of times when I've had to do that. But like it's always a fun experience once you get to the end of it, like, and you walk out with more knowledge. So definitely being open to learning and really being ready to kind of like step into a new step into a new space. And I don't know, just like, I think just like being able to like grab the bull by the horns, like, and really get in there. Cause like there are times, like I can be honest, where I've been like really nervous about a project, really nervous about a client. And like sometimes you just have to, as Daisy always says, lick the toad and just get it over with. So if you're not like a person that likes uncertainty, bad idea to join an agency. Because there's something new every day, and that's not a negative, and it's also not a positive sometimes, but like there's just something new all the time. So we're doing new stuff every day. We're touching new things. I'm learning new things all the time, whether it be from a teammate, because I mean Hudson always comes to me with stuff about SEO and social, and I'm like, oh my god, there's more. Like, what am I supposed to do with this information? But like, I have to learn it, because in order for me to move forward in my career, those are things I'm gonna have to know. So I really appreciate it. Just when it comes to the type of person that's gonna work at an agency, you need to be ready to try to be a jack of all trades. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Marketing Blender Show. Hopefully we gave you some insight on what it's like to move from a sole company to agency life. If you have any other questions, we have other team members who have probably also done the same thing. Feel free to drop them down in the comments. Make sure that you like and share this episode with anyone else who this may benefit. And also subscribe. You guys, why are you here if you're not going to subscribe? Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day, and that is all.